Hello and welcome to News Now. At least 52 persons were killed and 120 others injured after a military plane mistakenly dropped a bomb inside Ran IDP camp in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. Now, Ran IDP camp is in Kalabalge local government area and caters for thousands of persons displaced by Boko Haram. The military spokesperson, Brigadier General Rabi Abubakar, has confirmed the incident but explained that it was an error that the military deeply regretted. He explained that soldiers got information of movement of Boko Haram members and deployed ground troops and air cover to tackle the terrorists. He says it was the air support that mistakenly dropped the bomb. The military spokesperson, however, says the incident did not occur in an internally displaced persons camp has been reported, but a settlement said to be occupied by civilians. The theater commander of Nigerian forces in Borno State, Major General Lucky Rabo, also confirmed the attack, saying at least 2 soldiers are among the many people now injured. An international Red Cross helicopter has been deployed to the camp to evacuate the wounded to the various hospitals. Now, hospitals in Maiduguri, the state capital, have been told to be prepared to receive and treat the injured promptly. President Muhammadu Buhari has also expressed his regret on the incident. The president, in a statement, sympathized with the victims of the incident and assured of the federal government's support in the treatment of the injured persons. Outgoing president of Gambia, Yahya Jammeh, has declared a 90-day state of emergency in the country. The announcement comes 2 days to his expected handover to businessman Adama Barrow, who won the country's election in December. It also comes a day after the Supreme Court of that country denied his request to postpone Thursday's inauguration. Gambia has been plunged into a political turmoil since Jammeh disputed President-elect Adama Barrow's December election victory and refused to cede power. Nigeria and Morocco have offered asylum to Jammeh, but he has so far refused to step down. Meanwhile, the exodus in his cabinet continued on Tuesday following the resignation of 4 other ministers, including his foreign affairs minister. ECOWAS has actually prepared a force to remove him from power, but maintains that military intervention would be a last resort. Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says government is still holding talks with Boko Haram with regards to the release of the remaining Chibok schoolgirls. Speaking while responding to questions from the Bring Back Our Girls group during the ongoing tour of the Northeast region, the minister said, though the government has recorded successes against the sect, it is still negotiating the release of the girls. It says the Northeast tour has shown the preparedness of the armed forces not to only release every abducted person, but also bring the war to an end. The Bring Back Our Girls group and Nigerian government delegation are in the Northeast for a day, for a day, I should say, and such sorties of missing Chibok schoolgirls to Sambisa Forest. Now, factional Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau has claimed responsibility for an attack on the University of Maiduguri, which killed 4 people, including a professor. In an audio recording published on YouTube, Shekau said the mosque was attacked because it was, quote, ungodly. He also mocked the Nigerian army for claiming it had chased the sect out of Sambisa Forest and vowed to continue attacks in Nigeria's northeast. Monday's explosion in the university, which was the first major attack on the university campus by Boko Haram terrorists, also injured 17 others. The 4 dead persons include, of course, as we've been reporting, a professor in the university and 2 suicide bombers. Meanwhile, the Nigerian army has announced a 500,000 naira reward for information leading to the killing of one of the suicide bombers. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Siddiq Abubakar, says the increasing rate of bombings in part of Nigeria is a part and parcel of insurgency, especially with the dislodgement of the Boko Haram insurgency. However, says that it is not peculiar to Nigeria and that the military alone cannot deal with the menace. According to him, civilian intelligence and vigilance will play a big role to stop the incidents. Meanwhile, the Air Force has also announced it has destroyed several Boko Haram camps between Malam Fatori and Kangawa in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. The Air Force in a statement says the attack was carried out on Monday night after surveillance intelligence report showed survivors of a previous attack converging at the new location. The Lagos State government has urged its residents to be calm after an explosive device was allegedly dropped in a manhole in one of the streets in Agege area of the state. Speaking to newsmen on Monday, the state's Commissioner of Police, Fatai Owoseni, allayed the fears of residents, saying the development was nothing to worry about. He says security agencies responded swiftly to the development and found out that, contrary to rumor, the substance was just pieces of thrash dropped in the manhole.
You would notice that it's a kind of collaborative effort that and the synergy that has been existing within and among the security institutions in Lagos State that led to that arrest. And all these things are part of those things that were revealed this afternoon, that will put our ears more on ground, would open our eyes more widely, and in collaboration with the good people of Lagos, work on information that we receive to make sure that these elements are not allowed any space to operate in Lagos or to open cells. And we continue to count on members of the public for support. But maybe I should also seize this opportunity before it is spread out in a way that could make people to be panicked. That early this morning as well, we were alerted to a situation where it was reported that some passers-by dropped something on the manholes in one of the streets at Agege, which led to a bomb scare. The security operatives quickly responded. The bomb disposer also went there. Those manholes were checked, and it was found out that it was just thrash that were thrown into those manholes. And we seized the opportunity to also do what we call sweeping of the environment in order to reassure members of the public that security operatives in the state are more alive to their responsibilities.
Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has decried the deplorable state of the Niger Delta, saying the region needs a special development zone status. The Vice President said this during a visit to the Gwaramata Kingdom in Delta State. He was accompanied by the Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibeka Chukwu, citing several examples dating back to the 60s to the present-day amnesty program. The Vice President said many of such programs have not been able to meet up with their objectives. He however called on Niger Deltans to cooperate with the government in order to realize the desired development for the region. He also revealed that the Pan-Niger Delta Forum has actually come up with 16 dialogue issues that would be extremely helpful in ascertaining its key development priorities. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is set to register more political parties ahead of the 2019 general elections. Chairman of the Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, said this in Lagos on Monday at INEC's strategic workshop for management staff and commissioners of the Commission. Now, Professor Yakubu says the Commission is doing everything possible to ensure the 2019 elections are more credible than previous ones.
After the conduct of some elections, most of which ended in heavy knocks for the electoral umpire, it is time for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to re-strategize ahead of 2019. This is the purpose of this gathering. The strategic workshop is in conjunction with the International Foundation for Electoral System, and the idea is to reappraise the activities of INEC and reposition the Commission for the challenges ahead. The Commission says it is ready to register more political parties in accordance with the law once all requirements are fulfilled.
The Constitution and the laws of this country provide for registration of associations into political parties once they meet the requirements for registration. So if there are political associations that have met the requirements for registration, we'll register them as political parties. And so far we have received over 60 applications for registration of new associations into political parties. So we'll continue to be governed and guided by the provisions of the Constitution and the Electoral Act.
The Commission says it is also reviewing the Electoral Act to address recent political happenings and ensure that strict electoral punishment is served on electoral offenders.
We have been assured, particularly by the Senate Committee on INEC, that the issue of electoral offences tribunal and commission will be taken up as a major legal reform issue. whatever we are able to harvest for constitutional and legal reforms we have made available to the two committees on electoral matters in the House of Representatives and on INEC in the Senate. And this, the National Assembly, as we very well know, that will now work towards the amendment of the law, and they have gone very far in the Senate. And I'm also aware that they have gone very far in the House of Representatives.
This culture of brigandage, banditry, and total culture of impunity is unacceptable, is not civil, and therefore cannot be part of Nigeria's political lexicon come 2019. There must be a way to engage this, and there must be a way to deal with it very, very, very frontally. And I think, for example, that is why we have the issue of electoral offences becoming very, very, very important. Send people to jail. Make example of both those who are sent in the field and their patrons. If you do not send people to jail, Nigerians will not sit up.
TV360, Lagos.
The Senate Committee on States and Local Government Administration has given Cross River State Government 5 days ultimatum to submit a comprehensive report on how it expended the 7.856 billion naira bailout funds meant for salary arrears. The committee gave the directive in Calabar while investigating alleged misappropriation of the bailout funds given to the state. The visit to Calabar was part of the committee's nationwide probe of states that accessed the funds to offset workers' salary arrears. Now, Cross River State collected 7.856 billion naira as bailout fund. However, the state allegedly disbursed 3.14 billion naira, leaving a balance of 4.15 billion naira. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be talking about business.
Corruption not in my country. What is wrong with you, man? Saying no. Said I drew for more than 1 hour.
Yeah, me. Ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe. Ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe. Ká kúrò fún Ọlọ́run. Ká satisfy yín níbi ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe.
Ẹ wọ́n jẹ́ ká lọ tẹ̀lé ká kúrò ń bí báyìí.
Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ má bínú. Hello ọ̀gá. Màá dọ́dọ̀ yín lẹ́sẹ̀ yín. I'm assure you 5 minutes. Màá dọ́dọ̀ yín ẹ gbà bẹ́ẹ̀.
You are deceiving another customer just like you deceived us.
The same way he deceived us.
Eh? Why?
Ètò ni iṣẹ́ yìí. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun, ò lè jẹun. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun ìyá mi. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun. Workshop mi lélẹ́yìí. Ibi tí èèyàn bá ti ń ṣe ló ti ń jẹ. Ìyẹn ló ń pè ní workshop. Ibi tó bá ti ń work ni kó má ti shop.
You cannot base your business on lies. Go down now. It is corruption and it cannot work. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
The United Action for Democracy on Monday staged a peaceful protest in Lagos to draw the attention of government to the current hardship Nigerians are going through. With different placards and inscriptions, the body called on government to quickly readjust and reshape the economy. The convener of the group, Abiodun Aremo, and civil rights activist Ebun Adegboruwa called on the federal government, particularly those in charge of various micro and macroeconomic policies of the government, to reverse the deregulations, devaluation of the country's currency, and uphold democracy in the local government councils all over Nigeria.
So that is the point we must make clearly. What we are saying today is this: in the short term, we are in slavery. Our fellow sang that song. Suffering and that is what is happening. Let's take this position very clearly so that many of you can understand where we are going. The problem of Nigeria is not election. The problem of Nigeria is not political party. The problem of Nigeria is that there are two interests you have in Nigeria. The interest of those who want to loot the resources and make all of you hungry and make sure that salaries are not paid and make sure that children cannot go to school. And the interest of who don't want those resources to be used for the benefit of all of us.
Civil servants can no longer survive because salaries are not paid. In Osun State, pensioners have set up IDP camp in order to protest the non-payment of their pension. Last week in Oyo State, the governor of that state, who was elected by the people, described himself as a constituted authority and was insulting students and their parents. Where are we in Nigeria? Is APC a government of deception that is looting the looters? PDP spent 16 years to loot the economy of this country and took us nowhere. APC has come to loot PDP and is taking us nowhere. That's why we are here to tell you that we are not politicians. Our voice has not been lost. Nigerians are alive and ready to confront this evil that is calling itself a government of change that has come to loot our people. What is happening in this country now is that you have seen that almost all politicians have taken the advantage of this government to loot the economy. People are buying jets. Tinubu has bought the second jet. Saraki is no longer afraid of trial. He's entering Aso Rock day and night, and the president is describing him as a star because they are all looting the economy in the night.
The International Monetary Fund says Nigeria's GDP will grow by 0.8% in 2017, pulling the country out of recession. Now, this comes days after the World Bank projected Nigeria's gross domestic product, GDP, to grow by 1.1% in 2017. IMF, in its latest World Economic Outlook released Monday, also projected a 2.3% growth in Nigeria's GDP in 2018. The Nigerian government has also projected the country's GDP will grow at 3% in 2017 and 4.26% in 2018. The Naira stabilized at 497 to a dollar at the open market just as stakeholders expressed hope in its imminent recovery. The Nigerian currency, however, strengthened against the pound sterling but weakened against the euro at the open or parallel market as it closed at 595 and 517 respectively. Now, at the Bureau de Change window, the Naira traded at 399 to a dollar, a rate it would maintain for the rest of the week, while the pound sterling and the euro traded at 604 and 522 respectively. Now, trading at the interbank market saw the Naira weaken further, 305.25 to a dollar from 305 posted on Friday. Heritage Bank PLC says it is true that it is restructuring its workforce, but it is also adequately compensating affected members of staff. The bank, which sacked 400 members of its staff now in December 2016, says this was done as part of efforts geared towards greater efficiency and resource optimization in line with its growth and industry innovative agenda. Oil prices remain unstable on Tuesday, supported by Saudi Arabia saying it would adhere to a commitment to cut output but held back by rising U.S. production and skepticism that OPEC would comply with its commitment to reduce supplies. Brent crude futures were at $55.76 per barrel, while U.S. crude futures were up 15 cents at $52.51 per barrel. Now, traders said markets were receiving some support from top crude exporter Saudi Arabia, which says it would adhere strictly to its commitment to cut output under the agreement between OPEC and other producers like Russia. The search for the missing Malaysia airline flight MH370 has been called off nearly 3 years after the plane disappeared with more than 200 people on board. The Joint Agency Coordination Center said the 133 million pound search now had been officially suspended after crews finished their fruitless trawl of the 46,000 square mile zone west of Australia. Now, crews have finished their deep sea search of a stretch of the Indian Ocean without finding a single trace of the Boeing 777, which was traveling from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing in March 2014 when it disappeared. There were 239 people on board, including 12 members of crew. Most of the passengers were from China. The United Nations has slammed South Sudan for failing to pursue justice after grave human rights abuses, including killings and gang rapes, of course, were committed during an explosion of violence in the capital Juba in July. Forces loyal to South Sudan's President Salva Kiir and Vice President Riek Machar engaged in 5 days of street battles with anti-aircraft guns, attack helicopters and tanks. The UN mission in South Sudan and the UN Human Rights Office said it documented 217 cases of rape, including gang rape, committed by the South Sudan People's Liberation Army, the Sudan's People's Liberation Movement, an army in opposition, and of course other armed groups from July 8th to the 25th. Now the South Sudan government is yet to deny the accusation. To sports now, the League Management Company of Nigeria has sanctioned Premier League side FC Ifeanyi following the team's refusal to complete its weekend game against Kano Pillars. The league governing body says it has deducted 3 points from the Eastern-based team and also ordered the team to forfeit 3 goals. The LMC also said the Anambra Warriors will pay a fine of 9.51 million naira for offences bordering on hindering television broadcast, causing delay to the restart of the match after half-time, refusing to continue the match, and for acts capable of bringing the league to disrepute. FC Ifeanyi also have a suspended 8-point deduction and have until Wednesday to appeal the sanctions. The owner of Tianjin Quanjin confirmed talks were held with agent George Mendes regarding a move for Chelsea striker Diego Costa. Shu Yung-hee told Tianjin TV that the newly promoted club were deep in negotiations in their bid to bring Costa to China. However, a new limit on foreign players in China means the club's attempt to bring over Costa could be scuppered. The Spaniard was dropped for Chelsea's match on the weekend amid reports of a bust-up with coach Antonio Conte, although he insisted Costa was suffering from a back injury. He also confirmed the club table bids for Edison Cavani, Karim Benzema, Radamel Falcao and Raul Jimenez. Former Manchester United, Bayern Munich, Barcelona and Ajax manager Louis van Gaal has announced his retirement from professional coaching. The former Netherlands boss announced his retirement on Tuesday, citing family reasons. The 65-year-old has been out of work since leaving United at the end of last season, but told Dutch newspaper The Telegraph he had turned down offers from the Far East, including one potentially worth 44 million euros in just 3 seasons. His haul of trophies includes 7 league titles, 4 national cups, 2 UEFA Super Cups, the Intercontinental Cup, UEFA Cup, and the UEFA Champions League. Well, that's it on news now. We thank you very much for watching. Continue to stay tuned to TV360.